that thing would be something that would be a starting point for something else. Not just a reaction to a very simple thing, which is basically we've got to take care of something that we didn't bother to tender for the last time or do an RFP. We just went with the same people. Now, the last point I'm going to make is this. Your report says, and it's a good report, I'm not critical, you know me quite well. On the page it says that we, to get a sense of the local trends in service delivery, we looked at the people in Lambton County. Well, I know my people in Blue Water Recycling Country, which is 4 counties, and if we were to look at all the 4 counties in Blue Water, we would see a completely different picture than what we have here in Lambton County. Our 2 closest neighbors, North Middlesex and South Huron, both do it in-house. I guess my point is this. This is the 2 alternatives. One's a nay and one's a yay with, if everything was equal, staff would probably say, let's negotiate with Omni because they're doing a good job. Well, I would say yes, I agree with that, generally speaking. But I don't think we should shill for corporations, I'll be honest. They have done us a good job. They're my neighbors, they're my colleagues, I do volunteer work with quite a few of them. I honestly think that the third option would be a buy-in, and that's why I wanted to have this discussion 2.5 years ago. I've waited 2.5 years. It's now, what, 12 months before we have to do what I call it. So 2.5 years later, I get a report that says, let's keep the status quo. Fine. I've made my point, and thank you.
Okay. We have a recommendation. We have no amendment. The recommendation is on 3.3, the wastewater operation. Deputy Mayor Davis.
Just through you to John. I'm just wondering, John, do you have a means by which you would attempt to secure some of this public involvement to make a financial commitment to something like you're suggesting?
I think it'd be quite similar to what you just went through with your EDC. I think Paul explained it very correctly. It's one thing to describe the road ahead. It's another thing to have the goal so you can make a road toward it to describe. And I think that's what you went through with the EDC. I waited 2.5 years to have my tirade. That would be the first point in starting to make that road ahead. Because the goal would be that we would use our people's resources wiser and locally. To me, I want to see that circle turned by our people, for our people, inside, as much as possible, anytime we can. We always look at that. That's the first priority. How do we use our people's resources and that of the community? And that's why I'm saying it's a very simple proposal. I know it sounds a little weird, but let me tell you, I can take you back 22 years ago when I first proposed Blue Water, which wasn't Blue Water. They called me some pretty colorful things, let me tell you. But I'm going to tell you real simple. To me, using your local dollars and keeping that circle going is the way we should go. And anything we look at, that should be at the top of our list. If you set those things that the EDC has up there, then the job that we do as a corporation will continually be that. We will always say that doesn't matter what we look at, doesn't matter what part of the budget, it doesn't matter if it's administrative funding or how do we use it, how do we turn that circle within the community? Why do we have to go to Gary Scanlon? I believe in this community. I mean, you look at your committee, you've got people from Ivy School, MBAs, you've got economists, you've got retired business people, you have such great talent. This community is rife with that talent. We do not have to go outside and offshore to get the talent that's needed. This community has it in oodles. And that's what I'm saying. Let's also use the capital that may be here in this community to think about doing it. But if we do the RFP and we go out and we get the AMI and the Aqua and all the normal people go and do it, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But I do know one thing. When those people get the contract, whoever it might be, it's going to be Aqua, it's going to be AMI, it's going to be that other big firm that I heard about from a guy who brought a bunch of gray water to a meeting one time. A French, what was it? Veolia. You know, it's going to be one of these large, you know, they're international and they can do all these things. The reality of it, the people who do the work right now are our neighbors. The one who manages this program is a neighbor of ours. What I'm saying is the people who control the company come from somewhere else, and therefore the profits go somewhere else. That's my only point.
Water as a prototype for this idea, or it's often referenced as a PV
the board, which I wasn't part of the search because I started it, they did the search and they found Francis from quite a large stock of applicants of the day. And to be honest with you, we hired a marketer. He had no environmental experience, do you understand? So what we hired was somebody to do business. There's an old adage about management, right? It isn't that you need to know the business per se to manage, it's that you need to know how to manage. And I think what we do is we sometimes oversimplify things and say, oh, well, that, and maybe your view of how I say blue water. All I'm saying about blue water is not the model of blue water. I'm saying, let's maybe look at something different. When I read this report, what got me was that yes, there's something hanging all over our heads, Damocles' sword of sorts, that if we all decide in this next year to run again, we're all going to face this so-called threat of responsibility. Well, my God, we've had that responsibility forever. Now they're doing the Connors. You know, they're putting the thumb down on us because too many councils went the easy route. They didn't think it through. They went the easy route and they used local. The fact of the matter is, we don't have any choice on the easy road anymore. It's going to be legislated, it is regulated, you're going to have the training, etc. All I'm saying is this is the opportunity right now to look at alternatives, whether we do an RFP or all these lovely acronyms. It's looking at things a little bit differently. And personally, I think that in the community, why not? Why not use not just the workers, but use the capital in the community as well? That's just a thought, and I don't have the answers because it would have to be developed.
Okay, just for council member, we're at 3.3 and we're on the recommendation. There's a motion for the recommendation as it's presented. Councilor Vaughn.
Well, it's interesting. We've had an idea thrown out on the table, and now we're all sitting here, God, going, what do we do with this? So I'm glad the leadership guy showed up. I was watching the news the other night, 2 nights ago, when the federal judge declared Detroit bankrupt. And I thought, wow, can you imagine Motor City that thrived for so many years, too bad Patty's not here, great sports teams, bankrupt, 78,000 buildings derelict, police response time 58 minutes, 5 times the national average, 40% of the street lights are out. I mean, it just goes on and on. So I think that when we're looking at transfer payments being reduced, contracts that are being canceled, I think Councillor Russell makes an excellent point. I don't think he's saying here today, let's do it. What I think he's saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, we need to look at it. If we've got significant amounts of money, profit going south of the border, out of the municipality, and there is a way of keeping the money in the municipality to help with economic development or strategic planning or the quality of our lives, why wouldn't we look at that? Why would we just dismiss it outright and say, oh, well, you know, these are the options, they're easy to do, let's just do it. So I guess I'm kind of, I don't know, where do we go from here?
Councilor Underwood.
I just came from the Lake Huron Prime Water Source Board. We just went through something similar about last year, as a matter of fact, and the year before that we went through whether or not to do it in-house or to go with private partnership or public-private and the rest of it. So what we did was we eventually